Good afternoon, BNI Infinity. I'm Jess, new member, and thank you very much for having me on board. This is a video for me to basically be able to give some value, because it always when it comes around to the end and it's like, oh, have you got anything positive to contribute to the group? I'm always just like, I don't have any referrals, or oh god. But I know that will come in time as I sort of learn the skills. But I thought that I could positively contribute to the group by giving a little bit of advice in the health and fitness field. So today I thought I'd do a video that is coming up time and time again with quite a few of my clients, and that's the afternoon slump. So we get to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and things just start going. Start feeling tired, and the end of the day can be a little bit of a struggle. So I'm going to give you some advice of how to beat the afternoon slump and boost productivity. So it's going to revolve around a number of foundation principles that I use: movement, hydration, nutrition, breathing, sleep, and thought processes. So first, I'm going to talk about movement. So movement for the body is much more than just getting up and having a walk about. For what it does within our body, very, very important. So you can imagine if you've got cells being born and cells dying all of the time within your body. You've got the body producing waste products, such as CO2 and in the case of exercise, like lactic acid, but also as cells run their chemical processes, then they're going to produce waste. So movement is actually one of our key agents of detoxification, along with breathing. So when we move, we actually pump through the lymphatic system, which is kind of like the body's sewage system. We pump toxins around the body, and if they're pumped around the body, then they can be pumped out of the body. Part of the afternoon slump is literally toxins just sitting in the body. Now, it's important to mention actually, it's never one thing that causes good health. It's never one thing that causes bad health, or never one thing that causes good energy or bad energy. So it's always a combination of a number of things. It's very rarely to never one thing. If you get your movement in, so when you start feeling a little bit tired, get up, maybe go, if you can get outside, great, or maybe even just walk up and down the stairs, anything to get that pump mechanism going. So second, hydration. So very, very important, are often overlooked. Now, water is absolutely integral, key to everything that makes us us. At the end of the day, we're 60 to 70% made of water. Every single bodily process, from our brain function to our digestive system, to our bones, our muscles, everything relies on water in some way, shape or form. Now, how it affects us in the afternoon, if we're dehydrated, so every single cell in the body has a water membrane. Now, when we're dehydrated, that water membrane is reduced, if you will. Now, you can kind of think of each cell like a tiny little battery that can produce energy, because there's something called the mitochondria, which is a symbiotic bacteria within the cell that spins in order to produce something called ATP, which is, you can kind of think of that as energy. Now, if we are dehydrated, then the cell walls are dehydrated, and it's a struggle for electrons to make their way into the cell. Now, we get electrons from food, we get electrons from sunlight, we get electrons from water. So very, very important, because you can kind of think of us as walking electromagnets. Part two, sorry, I just got a call through there. So cell mitochondria. Now, they are powered by electrons, which make their way into the cell through the cell membrane, which is made of water, and spin the mitochondria produce energy. Now, if we are dehydrated, then we're going to struggle to get electrons into the cell, which means that we're going to struggle to have the spinning effect, which means that we're not going to have enough energy. So that's one thing to do with hydration. Also, it's important to talk about coffee as well, and the effect that it has on our body. Now, I love a cup of coffee. Personally, I generally won't have one afternoon, because it can impact our sleep. So caffeine stays in our system for a very long time, like 12 hours is the half-life. So coffee is a diuretic, so it will actually cause us to become more dehydrated, but also in terms of our energy. So say if we have a coffee with a load of sugar in it, for instance, at lunchtime, we get a sugar spike, a caffeine spike, and then the subsequent crash. So if you do have a coffee at lunch, then this effect is very likely to happen around the 3 o'clock mark. Now, you can kind of think of coffee a little bit like a roller derby. If you imagine all of the rollers, they're all in a line, and what they do is they whip the person from the back all the way through to the front, bam, and then eventually that person's going to end up at the back again. So that's kind of how I imagine like drinking coffee for energy. You know, it takes you straight to the front, but it's artificial, and ultimately you're going to end up at the back again, feeling worse than you were before you drank coffee. So there's a number of reasons why people do drink coffee to get through the day, and if it is a case of, you know, I need my coffee just to get through the day, then you could be looking at like problems with fatigue, in which actually most of the time these people can benefit from much more rest. So next we're going to talk about nutrition and its effect on the afternoon slump. So to really talk about nutrition, we've kind of got to go all the way back to breakfast. So what you have for breakfast and for lunch has a direct effect on how your energy plays out through the day. So I usually advocate, for some, not others, because it's very important. Different people react differently to different ratios of fats, carbohydrates and proteins. So we all look different on the outside. It would be you know, how can we possibly look the same on the inside? We all have completely unique biochemistry, but I would usually advocate a breakfast of fats and proteins. We're talking good fats, lean proteins, which going to keep you going throughout the day. So oily fish is prime time, nuts, seeds, avocado is a good shout as well, but also getting your carbohydrates in there. Now, you can kind of think of fats a little bit like coals. So coals burn for a long time and they give off a lot of energy. It's going to keep you satiated for a much longer period of time. Think of proteins a bit like logs. So logs also, they burn for a long time, give off a lot of energy, going to keep you full up for a longer period of time. Think of carbohydrates like kindling. So the fire burns through them a lot quicker, but fully necessary for a fire. You can think of booze, sports drinks, Coca-Cola, kind of like gasoline, like loads of fun, but ultimately burns through really, really quickly, and that also generally gets stored as fat. So a breakfast with fats and proteins in the morning is really going to set you up for the day, not only in feeling satiated throughout the day, but also hormonally it has a number of effects that play out throughout our day due to hormone. Well, we'll know it's a hormone called leptin, which is responsible for energy, and ghrelin, which is responsible for hunger. So fats and proteins for breakfast, you generally find that you actually feel less hungry before lunch. Now, if we're having a sugary lunch, for instance, so like pastries or struggle to think actually, anything that's going to spike the blood sugar levels, so simple carbohydrates, that's like white bread, white rice, obviously any kind of sugary coffee, that's going to again cause a spike in blood sugar and a subsequent crash when the body releases hormone insulin, which essentially shuttles the sugar away. Now, when we have simple sugars, we get more of a spike, more of an insulin release, which drops our blood sugar level below the level here. So if our blood sugar is down here, then we're going to struggle to have energy. So this can also be one of the many factors responsible for afternoon slump. So moving on to breathing. Now, again, breathing is one of our the main agent of detoxification within the body, responsible for 70% of our detox. So that's the body's ability to move toxins around and out of the body. So sometimes, getting outside, so some really deep diaphragmatic breaths, really get it in. So imagine you're breathing into a space just below your belly button, filling the belly with oxygen, so that's very important. That's I'll probably do a video in future all about breathing in it itself, because it's quite a massive topic. But suffice to say that the more oxygen you get into the system, the more oxygen you're going to get to your brain. The more oxygen you got in your brain, the more ability it has to carry out its processes in forming neural networks, helping us learn, and also releasing neuropeptides, which are chemical messengers to the rest of the body, telling it to release favorable hormones to keep our energy up. Next off, sleep. See, if we're struggling for a good night's sleep, then we're going to struggle in the afternoons as well. So big tips for sleeping, which again, massive topic, which I could do a 15-minute video about in itself. But so far, one thing I'm seeing more often than not is people with their phones next to where they sleep and checking the phones just before bedtime. So a number of problems with this. Now, we'll talk about yourself. Make sure there's enough space on the phone before you start recording a video. So where were we? Oh yeah, brainwaves. So when we're conscious, up and about during our day-to-day life, we're generally in beta waves. Then going down to alpha waves is kind of trance state, which just after you wake up or just before you go to bed, or you can get into it by meditating as well. Then you've got theta, which is asleep, light sleep, dreaming, and then you've got delta, which is like gone. Now it's delta waves where most of our growth and recovery happens. So that's the body recovering and the mind recovering. So if you can't slip down into delta while you sleep, you're going to struggle to wake up feeling rested. So it sounds a little bit out there, but electromagnetic frequencies from the phone prevent our brain from going down into delta waves. So getting the phone as far away from you as you can, and also checking the phone before bedtime. You're going to get a big influx of blue light from the phone, which sets off a hormonal reaction within your body, which releases cortisol, the stress hormone, which we struggle to get to bed with. That's why I wear these glasses. So whenever I'm working up my computer or looking at my phone, or in fact whenever the sun goes down, I pop these on, and I've had fantastic night's sleep since wearing them. It's down to something called our circadian rhythm, which is our biological link to the sun. But again, it's a whole other topic. Maybe I'll do a video about that in the future. Last off, I'm going to give you guys an exercise to do, which is going to be really, really key. Now, a lot of people have, particularly if working at desks, have what's known as a forward head posture, where the head migrates forward like this. So this can cause the afternoon slump because you've got a ring of bone called the atlas, which sits on top of your spinal column. It's the top vertebrae. Now it's the most mobile vertebrae. Now through the atlas goes the spinal cord and all the blood vessels, again delivering oxygen and glucose, sugar, to the brain. Now it's an interesting fact about the brain. Up to any one time, the brain uses up to 80% of our blood glucose. It's massive. It's why after like a long meeting or after like an intense study period, we feel fried, because our brain is literally churning through energy. So if the atlas, if the head is forward, then the atlas is also shifted forward. Now what happens is that the atlas actually puts pressure on the spinal cord and the blood vessels leading up to the brain, if your brain doesn't have the optimum oxygen going to it, optimum glucose, you're gonna feel tired because you can't get any energy in there. So I'm going to show you guys an exercise in order to basically pull back forward head posture. So I have to do it on this bar. So we're going to pretend this bar is a wall. Get yourself a pillow, find the wall. So essentially you want to lean against the wall. Appreciate it's not the best view, and tuck your chin, double chin yourself, and hold this for a period of 3 minutes. Now what it's going to do is it's going to work and activate all of these neck extensors at the back, which pull back the head into this position. Now you may feel a little bit lightheaded after coming off of the wall. Now I've done this before myself. I've done it with clients, whereby you suddenly shift the atlas from like here to here, suddenly a rush of blood and oxygen and sugar gets to the brain. So yeah, do take care when you come off of the wall, and it does feel a little bit weird because you kind of want to come into extension like that. Now it's going to be a good idea to stretch off the neck before doing this, because before strengthening we must always stretch to normalise the position of the joints and the head. I'll probably do a video about that in the future, because that's quite a common one of people that work at desks. We have forward head posture and kyphosis, which is like a rounding of the shoulders, but again that's another big video in itself. So I'll probably do that one another time, because if you work at a desk in our modern world, I mean, probably 95% of the people I see have kyphosis, due to most people working in desktop positions. So hopefully, yeah, I'll do a video about that in the future, and hopefully that's going to be useful to you guys. So yeah, hope you found these videos useful. Like I say, I really want to give some value to the group, so this is my best way of seeing that I can do that without being able to generate any referrals as of yet. But yeah, really keen to get stuck in and learn how I can get on that. But in the meantime, if you guys find this useful, then let me know. And yeah, I can carry on making videos on a number of variety of topics that I think may help. So yeah, have a wonderful day, guys, and yeah, see you probably next Friday. Okay, cheers, bye. Guys, I think I forgot to mention this, I might have just touched on it, but the standing walling you want to hold for a minimum of 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if that's a struggle to get to that amount of time, then just break it down. So say do a minute and then rest for 30 seconds, then another minute, but 3 minutes is very, very important. Now this works the muscles posturally. Now, when we lift a really heavy weight, for instance, for like 8 to 12 reps, we build nice, strong, beautiful muscles, but not necessarily muscles that have the endurance to last in a posture for a long time. Whereas if we lift, or if we work in a range that is 3 to 5 minutes, very light, then this trains the endurance capacity of the muscles to be able to hold a position for a long time, i.e. Posturally. So we need to sit upright all day long, so we need to train like that. Just training like a heavy weight for a short period of time, like I say, will build nice muscles, but not necessarily pull your shoulders back and your head back. So yeah, all the best, guys, and see you soon. Bye.